Sir, I want to talk 27th Amendment, sir. Asim Munir getting crowned. Let's start with that. What's your, initial assessment? Is he now the president without being the president, having the powers of the president and not the responsibilities of the president? What is it?
देखो ट्राई तो कर रहा है हिंदी और इंग्लिश बोथ इंग्लिश
वो मर्जी सर दोनों में बात कर लेते हैं, हिंदी में भी बात कर लेते हैं.
Okay. So, basic mudda, the basic issue is he doesn't want to step down as army chief on 28th of November. So the 26th amendment was that the term of the army chief was made 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now the doubt is, does he require a notification that on 28th November 25 he gets 2 years, or a fresh appointment that gives him 5 years on 20th November 25, so he carries on till 2030. Or he takes 2 years now and takes 5 years in 27, so carries on till 32. You see, the man is such a maneuvering and a manipulative fellow. He wants the maximum. But he's being tempted that why should he become president? So he has a lot of irons, in the fire. Now he's had 2 meetings with the Sharifs. One meeting was in Murree in last month in October. It was indecisive; they couldn't come to a conclusion. And another meeting was held about 3 days ago in Jatti Umrah, where again the issue was discussed. When Nawaz Sharif was there, Shehbaz, Mariam, the family, and so there again the issue was, I think Nawaz Sharif offered him that you take 2 years now, and we will even give you a written order for 5 years after 27. You keep that order with you now in case you think that we may diddle you out of it 2 years from now. But abhi to sirf tum 2 saal kar lo. And the reason that he gave, Nawaz Sharif, was that look, a 5-year fresh appointment now will create a lot of dissatisfaction among the junior officers in the army, because people who are, let's say, major generals today will know that they have no chance to become army chief. Not everybody becomes army chief, but at least the hope remains alive that you can become army chief. So you would retire out about 2030, 3 stars, and it will cause a lot of demoralization in the army. So do it step by step. So Asim Munir's response, I don't know what he said, whether he insisted on this or not. But before that, Asim Munir wants the 27th constitutional amendment. Now, from what has come out in the media, in fact, it was Bilawal Bhutto who broke the story and said he had been approached by Shehbaz Sharif to seek the support of the PPP for passing of the 27th amendment. And he mentions the key things. So there's a lot of padding in that, but the crucial amendment is to amend Article 243. Article 243 is that the command and control of the armed forces of Pakistan shall vest with the federal government.
Correct.
Now, the justification being given for changes in this is that when the constitution was promulgated, there was no post of field marshal. Now that there is a post of field marshal, you have to give it some sort of a constitutional cover. Now, how do you do it? So one option is that earlier, before Zulfikar Ali Bhutto became Prime Minister, there used to be a post of Commander-in-Chief. During the British time, there was a Commander-in-Chief. Claude Auchinleck was the Commander-in-Chief, and he was head of the Army, Navy, Air Force. He was boss of all the 3 forces. So one option is that you recreate the post of Commander-in-Chief, have Asim Munir as the Commander-in-Chief. Will that satisfy him? He possibly wants that the control of the armed forces should be taken away from the federal government and given to the Commander-in-Chief or given to the army or whatever it is, so that he will appoint the Army, Navy, Air Force chiefs. He will appoint the 3 stars, 4 stars. Everything about the defense will be done by him, and he'll have his own secretariat and things like that. Now, that is a huge huge step. There's no need for martial law thereafter, because whoever becomes commander-in-chief, you're basically hiving off Ministry of Defense and the three armed forces from the civil to one individual who is the commander-in-chief. Now, will the politicians succumb or stoop to that level to cut off their own feet in perpetuity? Because the only time the civilian politicians have some control over the army is when the time comes for appointment of an army chief or extension to an army chief. They have some control in the sense the man, Janab, this kind of a thing happens. So will they give that away in perpetuity? That is the, big question. Then the 27th Amendment also has a couple of other things. Judiciary will be totally finished because they now want to have a separate constitutional court which will decide the main issues. And the current Supreme Court will decide cases of land, murder, appointments, that kind of a thing. Basic, which can be done by the High Court or even by the lower courts. But this constitutional court will then be packed by the people of choice. They will also have transfer of judges without their concurrence. So any judge who is uncomfortable in Balochistan talking about human rights, they can pick him up and post him to, anywhere else. Today you can't do that. Today you can't push out judges without their consent. So that is the other major change they're bringing. Then they are diluting the 18th Amendment, which had devolved administration of departments like population, health, education to the provinces. They want to take that back from the provinces, and the constitutional protection of the National Finance Commission, which had assured as per a formula devolution of money to the provinces, that constitutional protection is also being removed. So in other words, the federal government need not devolve X amount of money to the provinces that it is constitutionally bound to do. They can devolve X minus 5. So because the army feels that too much of money is being given to the provinces, so their budget is getting affected. They want more money with the federal government so that the federal government can then give more money to the army under the defense budget. Now, this was the two things which are the PPP always touts as its major achievement. Because it is under Zardari's watch that the 18th Amendment was passed.
Separation of powers and this and that, yeah.
Yeah, especially devolving money to the provinces.
Yeah.
So now the question is, will the PPP agree? Since they need a 2/3 majority both in the Senate and in the National Assembly. They have a 2/3 majority provided the PPP is on board. Now, once the PPP signs on to this, their government in Sindh gets affected. Of course, they are the ones in Sindh. That means they are saying, ठीक है, हमें इतने पैसे नहीं चाहिए. आप डिपार्टमेंट्स जो है एजुकेशन का, पॉपुलेशन का, आप वो ले लीजिए, NFC के पैसे भी ले लीजिए. So Bilawal is asking that, what do I get? What is in it for me? Am I becoming Prime Minister? Am I becoming Deputy Prime Minister? So there's a lot of tussle going on that. Zardari is almost past his prime. He's not an effective thing for the next maybe 2-3 years, but he's beyond it. But Bilawal has 30-40 years to go. So is he going to cut off his politics? But then there is another thing which is dangled on his head, which is Murtaza Bhutto's son. Murtaza Bhutto's son, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto Jr., is about 35 years of age. He's been resurrected. He's in Karachi. And the army is telling Bilawal, beta tu samajh ja, we also have options of a Bhutto.
No wonder this guy, I call him Billo only, I can't call him Bilawal or whatever his name is. Billo was tweeting, oh gee, please come support this is very important and all that. उसने काफी बड़ा एक लंबा चौड़ा tweet डाला था कल.
Basically exposing what the army is planning to do. So the army has got this Zulfikar Ali Bhutto Jr. also waiting in the wings. He's not a full-fledged politician, he's an artist,
वो
But you
बना
know,
देंगे
yeah, उसमें क्या वो तो
बना देंगे वो तो।
software उसका update हो जाएगा. They'll make it. So
हाँ,
you know, the next two, what Munir wants, that first you have the 27th Amendment, get all the powers and everything ready, and then he goes into extension. And I think the 27th Amendment bill is going to be introduced within this week. We are on Wednesday today, so maybe by Friday it will be introduced and it will be passed within a day, because they have the requisite majorities in the National Assembly and in the Senate.
when you
And in
see
any case, 28th he retires, so that just leaves about 2.5 weeks
yeah,
for his own this thing. So things are really going to get very interesting in Pakistan in the next 2 weeks.
I don't think he's going to retire. I mean, he will make half the country retire before he does. That's the
Yeah,
difference.